Hey Flip Nation, Flip Man here. Hey, awesome news guys. I have created a new ebook on how to scale your business to 6 figures fixing and flipping. I want you guys to check it out. It's free. Go to my Instagram at flippin_az and register to get your free ebook on how to scale 6 figures and fix and flip business.
It was an amazing feeling. I mean, 5 years ago, I didn't think I would even be in this position right here talking to somebody about my journey in real estate, So it's definitely a blessing.
And you went against all the big hitters out there. Like, what was your, we'll dive more on the show, but what was your trick, or what was your number one thing that, like, how did you come across winning that competition?
So for me, it was actually because I still do this every day on a day-to-day basis. I'm still calling sellers. I'm still locking up deals. I run a sales team now for National Cash Offer. So now I have to make sure that my team's eating, my team's closing deals. So it was just like, an everyday thing. It was just another morning routine. Just me working on another Saturday and Sunday. That's all it was. And going into this event, I kind of knew I had that advantage myself, and then my partner Andy Garcia, he placed third. It was me, Elijah, and Andy. We both in this day to day. So when we got invited to it, we were seeing the people that were involved, and we started noticing that a lot of these people aren't really on the phones as much as they used to be. Right, so they're CEOs and they're running the companies. They have acquisition managers or sales directors that make the calls for them, and a lot of them let that be known. So I saw a little bit of weakness in that end. So for me, it was just kind of, it said riding the bike.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know Elijah the last 12 years, so he wanted me to vote for him and all that. And I'm like, oh, man, because I know Steve Trang, too. And now I know you. So I'm glad you had fun with it.
I was just telling Carly here, I mean, I know all those guys, on either a real personal or a somewhat personal basis. Steve Trang has come through our office. Pace, all those guys have come by. They've come to some of our events. Elijah, he's a great friend. We spend a lot of time with them. I've celebrated birthdays with him. He's come to our office. We did this little podcast called Deals and Drinks. It was a pretty interesting podcast. It's on YouTube. It's funny. We just sat down, had some drinks, and let the cameras roll, talking about some crazy deals that we've gone through.
Love it. So this is our first time on Restream. I don't know if you guys went over that, Carly, but can you explain that a little bit, Carly? Are you familiar with that at all, Adrian? And then we'll plug in, I think we're live already. Go ahead, Carly.
Yeah, so this is our first time on here, and the reason why we're trying it out is because on Instagram Live and Facebook Live, you can only have 2 people, so we wanted to give this a test run because then we can see if we can try to add a couple more people next time.
Yeah, we just, for that Closers Olympics, we actually used StreamYard.
Okay.
So that was another one. So it's similar to this where it actually has like a waiting room. So somebody can jump on, not be on camera, but you can have at least 6 people on at one time. And somebody waiting in the waiting room. So, that's something if you guys want to try that one out next time.
Yeah, that sounds like a great option as well.
I don't get paid by them, though.
Quick shout out.
Sweet. So are we live yet, Carly? Because I'm going to put it on my Instagram Live, too. And can you guys see me okay? I'm trying to adjust the lights here.
Yeah, so I did just push it live about 5 minutes ago. So we are live on Facebook. And then let's hit up the Instagram world, too.
Okay, and then I'll kind of do the backstory and introduce everyone and, kick it off here. How about for questions, Carly? Are you seeing those on your end, or where do we see like people that want questions? I definitely want to take some questions, maybe have it towards the end or something, but are you able to see that if people have questions?
Yeah, I do have Facebook pulled up as well, and then we'll just monitor the Instagram too.
Okay, let me do that right now.
Awesome.
See how this works. I got some sun in the background, but cool. Just trying to figure out where to set the camera. Mine is kind of dark, I noticed. Not me. Okay, cool. How's that? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is there any way that are there any blinds on that window? I think that's where all the glare is coming from.
That's right. And that window, I just ordered new blinds, and yeah, they're downstairs. I just got to put them up yet. So hopefully,
You're gonna have to get yourself one of those fancy influencer lights, the little circle ones, right?
I'll send you the link for that.
Exactly. So welcome everyone to the show. I'm Flip. Flip man, I've been at this 20 years now, flipping over 1,000 homes here in Phoenix, Arizona, and all around Arizona. So during the pandemic, like I met up with Pace Morby, I met up with Elijah, and they're like, man, you got yourself on Instagram. You know everyone in the Arizona, but like that's small compared to being able to touch everyone across the country. So, you know, when Pace told me that, I'm like, oh man, I got to get something going. So I immediately got on Facebook in Messenger, and I did 3 deals that first month, and then I got hooked on Instagram. So that's what happened, and that's why we're here today. And this is our 50th show of Cut the Curve already, where I interview moguls, mentors, and serial entrepreneurs. And Carly is a social brander. She's here with us today. She's got her own business. She left corporate America about 9-10 months ago and is living her dream out. And she'll be my co-host once a week. The show is going to be on twice a week. And then my special guest today is Adrian, who I just recently met. And I'm so thankful you're joining us here today, Adrian. We know a lot of the same guys.
We're in the same. We have the same backyard.
Yes, absolutely. And so Adrian, at 30, I'll give a little background as far as I know, and you can kind of chime in, Adrian. So at 30, Adrian decided to get out of corporate. He got into real estate. He's developed 6-figure wholesale business every month. And what really captivated me is he is the king of the closers, the first Olympic held here in Arizona. So welcome, Adrian. Anything I missed on that?
Yeah, so you know, I helped build the company. I'm sure you're familiar with the guys, the all-in guys, Carlos, Alex, and Sal. Carlos and Sal, I'm sorry, were actually the ones that got me into real estate. When I started, it was because I went to a dinner with Carlos. It was after a Sean Terry event, and we ended up at Mastro's, and there was some sort of a mastermind there. And I actually went to them, you know, just as a friend. He's married to my sister-in-law, so we're family. I ended up joining him at that dinner and holding a conversation with a lot of people at that table about real estate, knowing I didn't have any idea what I was talking about, right? And some of these people were older than me. At the time, I was 30. I was about to be 31 at the time, and I had this I was having conversations all night, listening to people talk, just kind of being a fly on the wall. And the next morning, I just woke up with the bug, and I called Carlos and I said, "Hey, I know you and Sal have your real estate business. Teach me the ways." And he invited me to the office, and I just never left after that. So now I'm running the sales team for National Cash Offer. I was their first acquisitions hire. Got them, you know, started producing 6 figures a month, like I was telling you, and that allowed Carlos to completely let go of the acquisition side of the business, so him and Sal can collaborate and scale the business and the all-in brand to where it's at today.
That's amazing. How long has that been since you first got into the business?
So I'm on year 5 this year.
Fantastic. And prior to that, Adrian, had you done any sort of entrepreneurship, or where? I mean, it definitely takes a special mind to do what you're doing every day.
Yeah. I always say don't get caught in the right place with the wrong mindset, right? Because you can miss out on opportunities. And before this, I didn't have any sales experience, honestly. I was driving semis for 10 years for Nabisco, a local, the cookie company here locally in Arizona. I was driving for them for 10 years. I did pretty much every position at that job, from order selector to a receiver, warehouse foreman, and then I started delivering routes. And I was comfortable. I had a brand new house. I had my wife. We had a 1-year-old son, 2 brand new cars. I was about 85 to 90% breadwinner for the house. And I just got this weird urge, I guess, being around Carlos and watching him go from his 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship and the grind that he did, helping him, supplying markers for him when he was writing bandit signs for him and Sal. I was just kind of taken away. It started catching my interest. Then I went to that dinner, and that's when I actually got bit by the bug. And I just I didn't know what I was getting myself into, to be honest with you. It was something new. I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was delivering from midnight to about 10 o'clock in the morning. I would go home, shower, and then I would meet Carlos at the office about noon. And from noon to, I'd say, about 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock at night, I would just shadow him, making phone calls, going on appointments, talking to sellers, looking at properties. And just trying to pick up on whatever he was doing because it seemed to be working. And he kind of threw me into, him and Sal actually threw me into the fire. They're like, hey, here's a bunch of leads. Go ahead and start calling. I didn't have no script. I just kind of was listening to what Carlos was saying. And me as a people person, I'm a very observant person. So it was easy for me to replicate or duplicate what Carlos was doing. To be able to just build a connection with these sellers. And that's what I was noticing, is that anytime he was talking to a seller, it was very, very friendly. It was friendly. Like, there was no effort. People were just talking to him. People were telling him their whole life story. And he's just saying, oh yeah, that's interesting. A couple anchoring words just to get them to start, spilling. Mm-hmm. And he knew the type of person that I was. I'm the type of person that if I'm getting in the elevator with you and, we're both on each side of the elevator, by the end of the elevator ride, no matter how short or how long it is, I'm going to get a smile out of you, or I'm going to crack a joke and make you not feel uncomfortable in the elevator. I mean, especially nowadays, right, with this pandemic that's going on, jumping into elevators with somebody and God forbid they don't have a mask on, right? It gets a little bit awkward, right?
Yes.
And I'm comfortable in that awkwardness, and I think that's where I thrive from.
I love it. That's a great story, Adrian. As far as going from 2 jobs, for me, I think it's the control of owning your own companies and being your own boss. I mean, we got a higher boss, but I mean, you're still not working for someone else day to day. So just having that mentor with Carlos, I'm sure that made a giant difference, whether, seeing what they were doing, just shadowing them. What are your thoughts on mentorship and like being around that to excel?
It's definitely necessary, in my opinion, right? The only thing that I can say is be careful who you're getting your mentorship from, right? Because the education game nowadays it's saturated. A lot of people know how to do the business but don't want to do it. They just want to teach other people how to do the business, right? And you can get misinformed or misguided if the people that are actually teaching you aren't really doing it themselves. Sal always taught me, lead by example, lead from the front, right? So there is nothing that I would tell my team to do that I haven't done myself personally.
100%.
Right? And Carlos and Sal were very strong on that. You know, they've worked every position in a wholesaler, in a flipping company, you know, from acquisitions, dispositions, transactions, you know, finding the buyer, like everything, every single step, they've done it. And they've now systemized it and given other people opportunities to take over. So I think if you're going to get a mentor, I would say that making sure that the people that are actually teaching you are willing to do everything that they're telling you to do if they haven't done it already. And honestly, if they haven't done it already, I wouldn't take any advice.
That makes sense. Carly, did you have a few questions you wanted to ask Adrian after hearing, you know, where he's at today? And, you know, in 5 short years, I mean, he's like, I don't know if you're familiar with All In, but they're here in Arizona, and they're amazing. They got a lot of traction and a lot of things happening all over. So I was just curious for yourself, Carla, if you had some thoughts or questions from, you know, hearing Adrian.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have done this in just 5 years, which is, I think, a lot of individuals who want to be an entrepreneur and a business owner, that's their ultimate goal, that 5-year plan. And I'm super curious, Adrian. So I am scaling my business and I'm doing it all on my own. I'm working on putting the processes and the systems in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on creating that standard procedures. And I am ready to kind of bring on someone on my team. And I'm kind of curious if you have any input for someone who is a solo entrepreneur who's looking to grow their team, if there's anything that they should do prior to actually looking to hiring out.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of goes back to what I just said. You have to be willing to do everything that you're going to ask somebody else to do. Right? So what field is it? Is it real estate? Are you looking to build a wholesale company?
So presently, as you might have heard, so I just quit my corporate job in August of 2019. It was a very challenging decision, which I'm sure you remember.
Okay.
Having gone through that as well. And then I went all in because I have had this dream to work with impact-driven entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Just like you, just like Flipp, who are looking to help and empower and just grow other individuals to become their very best.
Mm-hmm.
So I scaled the social media company where I work directly with impact-driven entrepreneurs and coaches to help them leverage the power of social media so they can grow their reach all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am looking to bring someone on my team that can help to collaborate mostly, and I also want to give them the same opportunity to learn how to grow and scale their business all by themselves.
Right. So what I suggest for you is anytime that I'm looking to hire somebody and to join our team, very first and foremost, it's their core values. They have to align with you. I mean, if you plan on growing this person, there's a possibility you may spend the rest of your life with them, right? You guys, whether it be, you know, at the top when you guys are celebrating and you guys are on vacations, doing it, you know, the family thing or, you know, the friend thing, whatever it is, you're going to spend a lot of time with these people. And if their core values don't align, then it's going to be difficult and you're going to see it and you lose a lot of good, you know, potentially good friends, right? And that's another thing, you know, mixing business with friendships. It's a very thin line now in the sense of myself and Carlos. Yeah, he's married to my sister-in-law, but we really didn't get along. You know, I had known him for about 7 years before I actually joined the team, and we knew of each other. We would see each other at family functions. We would go on vacations, but we didn't really spend too much time with each other. strangely enough, we ended up having a lot of stuff in common.
Wow.
And, so it just kind of broke. But, aligning your core values with whoever it is that you're hiring is definitely going to be the most important part. Second is you do not want to hire clock watchers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these people that you hire, these people that you bring on, they have to understand that this isn't a job. This is a career. This is a lifestyle that you're going to have to sacrifice endless amounts of hours. And I'm preaching to the choir right now because you've done it.
Yeah.
Endless amounts of hours, no sleep, days where you don't eat anything, where it feels like nothing is moving, nothing's going right, everything's going wrong, and still be able to overcome that adversity and push through it. Mm-hmm. Right? So those are things that you want to look for. And then obviously it's to have somebody that's entertaining around you, somebody like a people person that's going to be, fun to talk to. That's not going to be shy, especially in the social media world where you can't be shy. You can't. Carlos always says it. You can't be shy and be a millionaire. It doesn't work.
So true.
Right?
Yeah. I love that, Adrian, the core values. I've JV'd, I've partnered, I've had some long-term business success, and 100%, like, that's the challenge of bringing in friends, because there's a fine line, like you said there, and then hiring from the outside, someone you never met. So I like to be around that person, kind of see how they operate, and just make sure that we're on the same path as far as our core values, because at the end of the day, I mean, you invest a lot of time in those people you're collaborating with and working with. So you don't want to put all that time and energy. I mean, nothing's 100%, right? But like, the better you set it, like with core values, it makes a world of difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask you both, I'm really, really curious. What core values do you feel have led to success in both of your businesses presently?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, for us, honestly, teamwork is very important. Being trustworthy, right? Mm-hmm. And being accountable. In our company, we hold everybody accountable. Carlos and Sal being the owners of the company, I can hold them accountable just as much as they do for me, right? If they're showing up to the office late every day, and we're in there grinding every day, and, I can tell them, hey, we may need you guys' presence. I mean, even though now at this point, their presence isn't really needed too much in the operation. We have it kind of on autopilot. We take it, myself and Jaden Pudney, the Dispo, our asset coordinator. We kind of took the bull by the horns and started. We took over the company, and now they probably have about 5% input in anything that happens with their wholesale business or their flipping business. But for us, there has to be some sort of higher power or some sort of foundation that you can build off of, right? For me personally, it's my relationship with God. Some people, it's energies, chakras, whatever it is. Everything has to be built on a firm foundation. So that's what I definitely look for, and I look because a lot of people come into our business and they don't have that. They don't have that consistency with something, or they don't have that foundation to build on. But I look to see if there's a possibility that we can change that for them and we can build that foundation together. Because you'll find people that just don't want that foundation. They just want to go based off of God-given talent, no systems, and just try to do what's right for them, right? And in my opinion, it's always purpose over profit. I'm not looking to do what's right for me. I'm looking to do what's right for anybody that I come in contact with, which has helped me grow, to this status so fast.
Love that.
I love it. I love those tips and tricks, Adrian. I like your hat that you have on because, I learned from my mentor 25 years. Again, we connected not only business but spiritually, which was amazing. And then doing the honorable thing. I mean, that's a big high core value. Like you have to, sometimes doing the right thing is hard, man. So it's like, I look for people that try or do the honorable thing. I think that's important. And the other thing is hustle. Like you can tell if someone walks in your office if they're a hustler or not, because it's not about what they can I could do for them. It's like, what can I help Flip with? Like I had someone come by yesterday. She was amazing. And it was all about how could I help Flip? How could I help the business? So you know that she just wasn't there to like, she was hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things, honor and being hungry, I like to be around those types of people and work with those types of people, because again, we could teach them the real estate skills, but like we can't teach them to wake up at 4 a.m. or
Yeah.
up till midnight.
You can't scout hustle.
So I think that's a important thing, Carly, for your question. Definitely a higher power, the faith, and then the hustle, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really powerful.
Yeah, every day you can't teach hustle, and that's one thing. Yeah, you're right, Flip. You can't teach that. Somebody either has it or they don't. Right? You can teach real estate. You can teach how to talk to people, but if they just don't have any hustle in them, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be average all their lives, and that's fine, because there's people that are just cruising, and that's what they would love to like doing. So
99% of the world, right, is just kind of cruising. All right, that's why, like yourself, like Carly here, when we take this leap into entrepreneurship and try to seek financial freedom, we're seeking to become that 1%.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, that's right. And it was such a scary leap, because I do have student loans and I do have things that I needed to cover, but I just had this burning passion. And I know Flip connects. When he took the leap too, both of our parents were like, what are you doing? Like, corporate America is the safe route. You have a salary, it's a guarantee. But truly, it's so powerful when you just have this burning passion and this desire. And we are living one life. And I told my mom, if I look back at 27 years old and I didn't take the leap, man, that regret was hurting me inside when I did take the leap. So I was like, I just have to do this for myself. And then I did it. And I was babysitting on the side to make ends meet. And then it was February of 2020 that I was able to scale full time.
Amazing. And like you said, I mean, people think it's guaranteed. People think it's something that it's going to be there forever. And a big eye-opening experience this past year, right? Or in the beginning half of this year, this pandemic, right? People thought, oh yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm at my job. I've been there for several years. Nothing can happen to me. And all of a sudden there's layoffs. You can't go to the office, right? And that was an amazing feeling to me. Like, and I don't know if it sounds kind of like rude or anything, but it was an amazing feeling to me, seeing that, like, unfortunately, these people are losing their job, but nobody's going to come walking into my office and tell me I have to pack my stuff and go home and I can't come back until they tell me. Right?
100%. Yeah.
So that right there was just, it was just amazing. And, throughout my journey, there's always times where I look back and I see, I see God speaking to me and just telling me, like, yes, you're on the right path. You're going where you need to go. You're going where I want you to go. Right? Because the path is already set for us. It's when we get in our own ways, that's when things start to get kind of messed up. Yeah.
And Adrian, we're definitely in interesting times. 40 million people unemployed, like historic numbers. And the fact that we're doing real estate. So whether you got a recession or you got a booming economy like beginning of January 2020, I'm still doing deals. You're still doing deals. I know, real estate, like it's not it's amazing field that we're in. Obviously in 2008 I got hit hard, but like our business, like how has your business changed during this pandemic? Like what has shifted, I guess, from your perspective?
There was a 2-month period where things got slow. It didn't completely die. It just got a little bit slower. That was like March and April. Things slowed down. May we picked up, and you know, now we're here in June. Me personally, for the team, I have about 80,000 already closed in escrow. I should have another 20 to 30 closing by the end of the month. We've have a couple flips that have closed. We'll be maybe at $250,000 by the end of the month, closed in wholesale and flips. I mean, so we're not really struggling right now. It's booming. My team itself, we've gotten a contract every single day this week. So I mean, things are booming for us now. We're seeing that what's happening now is people are still buying. What's happening with the wholesale marketing or the market is it's getting a little bit harder to wholesale, but you can still find really good deals. And if you haven't raised any private capital, then you're gonna miss out on a lot of opportunities because we're getting these deals so discounted that it doesn't make any sense for us to try to wholesale them. You know, we'd be cutting our profits by like 50% if we were to wholesale it. So we just take it down and fix and flip it, you know, because right now other investors are kind of scared for these bigger remodels. They want these cookie cutter lipstick remodels where you can just come in, be in there for a couple days, get out and get it listed. But you know, in the market that we're in, we're not really finding those that much. I mean, those are for Open Door, OfferPad, and Zillow. Those are the ones that are okay with making, you know, $1,200 a month or $1,200 a deal or something like that. So that doesn't really do anything for us. So we have to go where they're not, which is, you know, those heavily distressed properties that we're willing to take down ourselves and we're willing to remodel ourselves.
That's great. So, you know, obviously everyone has their tribulations, challenges. There's some younger guys watching us now. I know Jacob Blank was on my show, 17-year-old kid, took Carlos and your guys' course. He's killing it in the wholesale game. So shout out to Jacob if he's watching.
Yeah.
And, you know, what in your 5-6 years here, Adrian, is there a couple experiences that you could share where looking back, you're like, holy cow, I shouldn't have done that, or I wish I would have done it differently to, like, in retrospect, to help some guys that are on here that are still learning and growing?
And it goes back to, I think everybody says this. I mean, even Jacob Blank would probably attest to this being 17 years old. I think he actually just posted it on his IG the other day where he said, I wish I could have started this sooner. That's the only thing I would change, right? And to be honest with you, I lied. Okay, so there's 2 things I would change. If I could do it sooner, and if I can go harder than I did the initial time, that's all I would do. Because there's times where I get complacent and I let off the gas a little bit, and it shows, right? Especially in a sales environment and wholesale environment where you have to keep your pipeline filled or else it's going to dry up. You know, there were times where I let off the gas, and maybe it was personal issues that I was dealing with that I was letting to cloud my vision and not be able to get, you know, the productivity that I needed at the office or something like that. Or maybe I just had 2 back-to-back good months, you know, and you know, so I'm like, you know what, let me put it on cruise control for a little bit and enjoy and bask in the fruits of my labor. But enjoying that too soon is definitely costly. It'll hurt you if you start to enjoy the fruits of your labor before they're ripe.
Hey Flip Nation, Flip Man here. Hey, awesome news guys. I have created a new ebook on how to scale your business to 6 figures, fixing and flipping. I want you guys to check it out. It's free. Go to my Instagram at flippin_AZ and register to get your free ebook on how to scale 6 figures and fix and flip business.
That's a great point. I like fancy, nice things, but like every time I close a deal, Adrian, I'm like, man, I could either buy a rental or I could buy this fancy car. And I've always chosen the rental, but I'm tempted to get some high performance cars here. So, you know, it's all about choices, right? Like, you know, long-term wealth is important to everyone out there too, I would imagine, because flipping and wholesaling, you guys crush it. You make a lot of money every month, but like, what are your plans for like holding assets and building other things? Like, what would you tell guys out there that are, you know, making 10, 15 grand a month wholesaling, and, you know, they're out there buying stuff right away, and they're not, again, the money is made, but it could be spent very easily, like I did early on, I'd say. And what are your thoughts around that whole concept?
So, right now, I mean, there's endless amounts of information online that you can gain access to. There's genuine people out there that'll teach you how to get this passive income and how to build that long-term wealth, right? And build it and secure it with minimal, you know, capital, minimal money to be able to spend, right? So you have your Pace Morbies and your Cody Bartons that, you know, they capitalize on this subject to the seller finance aspect of wholesaling and doing real estate. That's an amazing, that personally, when I started seeing that, I was like, wow, I don't have to wait till, you know, I have, you know, $100,000, you know, $200,000 extra in the bank to go buy a rental property. I can pay 5-10 grand to this one right here, get some passive income, and just start working it that way. Now, instead of waiting for that money to get built up in the bank, I can just put it out, spend it, right? Because you can spend $5,000 easily in a month on, you know, on the luxurious things, right? On a pair of shoes or some clothes at Nordstrom or something. And, you know, if you have that mindset, then that money is just going to go, you're burning money at that point. But if you're able to get yourself into like a seller finance to produce that passive income, I would take that opportunity as soon as it presented itself to me. Like I said, in a day and age where, you know, people think it costs a lot of money to be able to have that wealth, they're highly mistaken.
Yeah, creative finance is something that's been around forever, but like it's getting more out there with like the Paces, the Cody Bartons, and yeah, I love that. So for some of the people just chime in, of course, Adrian, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was the first ever closer of the Olympics. He went against tons of high level guys, and he was able to close the deal. And can you share again what you told me earlier, Adrian? What was the biggest way that you were able to beat all these other killers around the country and closing? Like, you were on the spot closing deals, I heard.
Yeah. We it was a 2-day event, Closers Olympics. Shout out to the guys that ran that, and the ladies. You know, Elijah, Keith Everett. You know, they put on an amazing event, and I was happy to be a part of that. But what I saw when they invited us on, myself and my partner Andy Garcia, he placed third, Elijah placed second. What I saw when they invited us is that it was a lot of people that have these brands and have these companies already and have, you know, and aren't so much involved in the day-to-day and maybe aren't making as many phone calls as I am. Because as soon as we're done with this this interview, I'm going to the office and I'm going to start making calls. I mean, this is what I do. This is what I produce. We also teach, you know, acquisitions. Myself and Andy Garcia, we were actually having a one-day event, online event, June 23rd, closersonly.com. You can go there to get a ticket if you want to learn acquisitions from us. But I do this on a day-to-day basis. And so when I saw the people that were getting involved or the people that I was going to be competing against, I saw that maybe these guys have been off the horse for a little bit and maybe they're going to need to remember how to do this thing. And in real estate, we know that a week is like a month and a month is like a year, right? Things change. people are getting more savvy. There's more resources online for you to figure out how much your house is worth, right? So you have to be ahead. You have to be ahead of the curve, right? So you have to be able to beat these people to the punch. And when I saw that who I was going up against and saw that they weren't really in the day-to-day trenches like myself and like Andy are, I felt very confident that it was just going to be another day at the park for me. You know, another Saturday, Sunday for me working, and it was very easy for me to do so because I didn't take into account that I was being recorded or anything. And if you go back and you look at my videos or you look at my calls, that way I'm calling on there is the exact same way that I call on a day-to-day basis. You know, I'm playing with something. The only thing I did different is, you know, when I'm on a call with a seller, I'm walking around the office. I have my headset on. I'm walking around the office. My hands are moving. This one, because I had to be in front of the camera, it was, you know, you see me rocking back and forth or just like fidgeting with things. So that's the only thing that I really did different.
I love it. Yeah, Carlos just chimed in here. So he said these guys eat, sleep, and breathe it. So again, it boils down to the reps, it sounds like, Adrian, whether you're lifting weights, whatever. I mean, you do this all the time. So sounds like that's why you crushed it. Was there any one that you were like, holy cow, I'm a little worried about this guy, or were you kind of like, I got this?
I was never worried about anybody, to be honest with you. You know, I have a really, really strong relationship with God, and you know, it is what it is. You know, before the event even started, I was already thanking Him for letting me win the event. Right? I was already manifesting that. I was already thinking about what my drive home was going to be like after I went to go celebrate my championship. You know, after I've celebrated my victory, I was already seeing all that stuff. So there wasn't anybody that was, and that's when you lose track, right? Is when you start to look at other people and compare yourself. So I wasn't comparing myself to anybody. I was just going to continue to do what I do, like I said, on a daily basis. But the one person that I did see, aside from, you know, my business partner, Andy, the one person that I did see that I was very impressed by was Steven Morales.
Okay. I'm not familiar with Steven. Where's he out of?
He's out of Tampa. You know Steven. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I can't say I know him, but super familiar.
Okay. Yeah, Steven Morales, he's part of the Real Empire, or Real Advisors. I'm sorry, he's part of the Real Advisors out of Tampa. He teaches sales training acquisitions, and he runs his multi-million-dollar business. And that guy, he understands what it is to actually build a sales system and follow it on a day-to-day basis. What I noticed also during the event is a lot of people are just kind of going based, like flying by the seat of their pants. There's no real system in place. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have systems in place, Carly, you can attest to this because that's what you're trying to do now. Things you tend to mess up and you tend to fumble over things. Or if it doesn't happen this way, then you don't know how to bring it back or something like that. So with these sales trainings, I saw Steven Morales. I saw that he had a system in place. He had a lot of charisma, and that guy, he can close. He's a closer.
Love that.
Right in your backyard, Carly.
Yeah, he is right over here. That's incredible. In the beginning, I'm kind of curious, because in the beginning, when you first started on this journey 5 years ago, like when you really started feeling like, okay, I have a lot of momentum going on, and you're like, this is working, and you're probably like so grateful, especially since you have a strong relationship with God. As you were continuing to grow, were there ever moments of doubt or just like that moment of imposter syndrome where you're like, is this too good to be true? And I'm curious how you navigated that.
Yeah, and my relationship with God didn't start when I started real estate. It was probably about a year after that when it started.
Wow.
You know, once again, being surrounded by people that elevate you or on a day-to-day basis is a life hack, right? You always want to be the dumbest person in the room, whether it be financially, whether it be business savvy, whether it be spiritually. And being surrounded by Carlos, he was the one that made that connection with me. But yeah, even still to this day, I can be honest with you. There's times where I sit back and I think, is it too good to be true, or do I deserve this? Mm-hmm. And then I have to snap out of it real quick and say, yeah, I do deserve this. I deserve everything that I have. I've earned everything that I have. Nothing's been given to me. The only thing that's been given to me is opportunity. And at the end of the day, it's what you do with that opportunity is what sets you apart from the rest. So I've had a lot of adversities. For example, there was a time in, what are we in, 2020? 2018. Actually, it was December of 2018, January of 2019. My life, it felt like everything had hit me at once. I was having momentum, closing deals, 6 figures a month. And then all of a sudden my pipeline dried up and I started questioning myself, doubting myself. And then I got hit with one of my first tax bills, right? My self-employment taxes. And Carly, if you haven't been hit with one of those yet, tighten up your belt, because it's going to happen. And it's a scary thing, because when I get hit with growing up, I was taught, they take your taxes out for you. W-2, they take your taxes out for you. And if you get money at the back, at the end of the, after when tax season comes around, you get some money back. Hey, vacation, right? But with me, it's like I got hit with this tax bill. I owed $10,000, right. And I was like, holy crap! I said, what is this? It freaked me out. I've never seen a bill that high at one time. So I didn't know what to do. And it hit me. It was like, I have my nice house. I have my cars. My wife, she works from home part-time. I'm responsible for everything. I started psyching myself out and saying, maybe I don't want this. Maybe I don't want to have to pay $10,000 in taxes. Maybe I don't want to, run the risk of losing my business or run the risk of losing any assets that I have, right? And it started hitting me, and that was in December. Mind you, the whole time, I'm struggling to get deals. I'm getting 1-2 deals maybe a month, where I'm used to getting 10 deals a month. Mm-hmm. And then December, New Year's Eve, we were celebrating New Year's with the family, and I had my son. He was 2 at the time, and I had him outside with me, and we were playing with fireworks. And I had I had a Roman candle. I don't know if you're familiar with the ones that shoot the little balls in the air. Yeah. I had a Roman candle in my hand, and I lit it, and he was standing with me, and we were going to shoot it together. And I lit it, and it was dark out. So when I lit the Roman candle, it was actually pointing backwards.
Oh, no. Okay.
So one shot out, and it shocked us. Then the second one shot out, hit my son in the face, and gave him 3rd-degree burns all over the side of his cheek. Mm. And he took off running. I threw the firework, and chaos ensued. The paramedics came, and luckily he's okay now, and you can't even tell anything's happened to him. But that time, Isaiah, he's playing with Bella. At that time, I was just in fear. I was in fear. I didn't know what was going to happen. It felt like my life was crumbling. I had just let this happen to my son, and I'm supposed to be his protector. Mm-hmm. Right? So we stayed in the room after the paramedics left, and I just kind of sat there holding him, and everybody celebrated bringing in the new year, and I just kind of sat there celebrating. And
oh, so handsome.
So I just sat there, holding him and trying to see, and just thinking, what happened? What did I do? Why is all this happening to me? So we decided to leave. I was carrying him out into the garage, and then I just kind of broke down crying.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me, I had him on my shoulder, and he asked me, he said, Dad, what's wrong? Mind you, he's all bandaged up with third-degree burns on his face. I said, what's wrong? He's asked me what's wrong, and I told him, I said, I'm sorry, son, I hurt you. He said, don't worry about it, Dad. God was protecting me.
Aww.
And that right there, it just melted my heart. And
I have chills.
it melted my heart. And, I mean, he's 2 years old. He only speaks what he feels at that point, right? So the fact that he told me that, it gave me some reassurance. You know, January, I was still struggling. I started falling into like a state of depression because he's walking around bandaged up, and I'm responsible for it, or I was taking responsibility for it, and I didn't know. I just didn't know how to act. And January comes, and I'm still in this state of depression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running through, continuing to try to struggle to get deals. And then in the end of January, we decided to enter a flag football tournament, and I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing flag football.
Wow.
If you don't know, that's if you reach down to the back of your ankle, that's that tendon right there that allows your foot to move.
Okay.
So I ruptured that, and I wasn't able to walk for about a month, 2 months. I had to get surgery to get it replaced. But during that time, I had a lot of time to think. I had a lot of time to think of, what's going on, what was going on, and why is it going on. And one thing that helped me before all this happened was I read Outwitting the Devil, the book by Napoleon Hill. I read Outwitting the Devil. Yeah. And that book completely changed my mindset again.
Wow.
Right? There's always these books that'll change your mindset again, or after you read them a second time, you'll catch something. Outwitting the Devil was a book that I read, and it showed me, like, I was concerned about my finances. I was concerned about the luxurious things that I have. I was concerned about what people's perception of me was going to be, if I were to lose everything, right? I was going to think of how people were going to look at me because I took the leap and I failed, right? But the thing is, I hadn't failed because I hadn't quit.
Right.
So I was still pushing forward, and then it clicked. I'm sitting here complaining about all these personal things, these things that don't matter, and my son is sitting here next to me, perfectly fine now. He had some some light scarring, but it's gone now. But he's sitting here perfectly fine. I could have ended up in a much, much worse situation than it was. My son could have lost his eye. It could have been a lot worse. He could have been hurt 10 times worse than he was. I could have hurt other people around me. And for me to sit here and be selfish and think about the things that don't matter in life, that was a turning point in my life where I was like, okay, enough is enough. Nothing that you have, and the truth is, nothing that you have here on this earth belongs to you anyway. Everything that's given to you is given to you by God. Right? So all you have, the life that you live, the soul in your body was given to you by God. Your body's given to you by God. So everything is borrowed. So for you to hold on to it with a tight fist, it makes life more complicated. Be willing to let go. And when you let go of these things, your hands open up and you're able to start receiving even more blessings. And that changed my life dramatically. And, I'm here now, 2020. I can't complain. I've been having an amazing year. Like, how crazy is that to hear, right? People are suffering from the pandemic. There's social injustice going on. And I completely understand, and I'm aware of everything that's going on. But me personally, my life has been fantastic. In March, we did the Art of Closing, which was a 2-day sales strictly acquisitions training. Myself and Andy Garcia, that was our first event. Mm-hmm. And then we did an online one when the pandemic hit. We did an online one in April. And then the Closers Olympics, we did that, and I dominated that one. I won that. I was victorious on that. And now here, June 23rd, 6 months, halfway into the year, we're going to do another event, and that thing's pretty much sold out already, and there's very little advertisement going on about that. So am I happy where I'm at? Am I having a blessed year? Yeah, I am, and I can't complain, and I will not complain, and all I'll do is just give thanks.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Adrian. And I know Carly's not a mom yet, but I'm a dad. I have 2 kids. I'm very close to. It changes your life.
Mm-hmm.
It changes your life. You can no longer stop thinking about yourself.
That's right.
It's and Flip, like being a dad of 2, right? What is it, boys or girls?
One of each.
One of each. So you're perfect, right?
Yeah, it's the millionaire's family.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you'll do anything for your children, and you feel responsible for their safety. Mm-hmm. At all time. And That's what I was struggling with, is that I felt I was responsible for his safety, and I let something like this happen to him. But what I didn't realize at the time is that as soon as it happened, God had already forgiven me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We got to forgive ourselves, so that's something that took me a while to, through a divorce, failed marriage, whatever. I mean, I thought God was angry, but he's already forgiven us for what we've done and what's happened. And, we're doing the best we can with what we got, for sure. So having faith is, it's so important. Because again, we all want to succeed and do well, but what's really important at the end of the day, your family, your kids, your loved ones around you, and then having the money in the success business it's a double bonus. It's just
it's a byproduct. It's a byproduct.
Exactly. Yeah. Because why do you work so hard? I mean, there's got to be motivation behind, why Adrian puts in all the energy, time. And, I'm sure you got your reasons. And for me, it was always about, having kids and coaching, volunteering, just being around them every step of the way. And real estate has that flexibility of freedom, which why I got into it 20-some years ago.
Right. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I actually did start getting into it. Like, there is freedom. I read one book about real estate. I've only read one book about real estate. Well, now 2, because the guys just put one out. Carlson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've read that. But the only other book that I've ever read before was a book by Nick Ruiz called Flip. He's kind of a smaller, but he does a lot of fix and flips. But he wrote this book because he lost millions in the recession, and he made it all back by wholesaling. Right? He lost his butt because he was over leveraged, a bunch of rentals, and when the recession hit, when the market crashed, he lost his butt, and he had to file for bankruptcy, and then he built it all back through wholesaling. But I read that book, and then I started following a couple of his podcasts, and I heard one powerful thing that actually helped me change too, was that how would you feel, and I'll ask you, Flip, because you have kids, right? And I'm sure you already know the answer to this, but how would you feel if your son or your daughter had a soccer game, and you're working a 9-to-5, they had a soccer game on a Saturday, and you go and you ask your boss, hey boss, my son has a championship soccer game on Saturday, I'm going to need the day off, and he tells you no. How is that going to make you feel? As a father, missing that opportunity as a father, that's going to be devastating to you. So, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
I would have quit, Adrian. So my dad was always working 5 jobs. never saw my baseball, never basketball, and we've reconciled through that. But you either do what your parents do or you do the complete opposite. So I knew early on when I decided to have children, like I was going to be there at every one of their events. If I didn't know volleyball, I'd learn to be a volleyball coach. I'd learn whatever sport they wanted to be in. And you can ask them today, they're 17 and 15, like they're teenagers, but they still want to hang out with me, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's the goal, right? They're supposed to be your best friends. I mean, we see it on movies. We see it on, reality TV where the teenagers just don't want anything to do with their parents anymore. It sucks, right? Because they're here all day, and I know me and my son, I'm doing a lot of the things that I used to do with him that I'm doing now. So when I was younger, we went bike riding yesterday. We watched skateboarding on TV, things like that. So it's amazing.
I love it. Yeah, and never take it for granted, Carl or Adrian, because it goes so darn quick. I mean, I look back and I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe they're teenagers. And you're doing amazing because you choose to do that, and that's exciting. Any other kiddos on the way?
I mean, we're hoping. I mean, we're not practicing to have. Well, we're practicing to have one, but we're not heavily, invested into that. My wife, she's on birth control, so we'll see. I mean, right now there's a lot of stuff going on in the world.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm enjoying a lot of time with my son. He set the bar pretty high, and I always say that, like, as crazy as it sounds, he set the bar high in his standards. I mean, the kid's amazing. I mean, like at 2 years old, going through that type of adversity or that type of injury and just bouncing back like nothing happened, this kid's special. He's special, and I'm enjoying every single bit of it. But I would love to have another kid, and probably soon, because I don't want him to get too old.
Yeah. I mean, a boy and a girl, like I said, I always tease it's the millionaire's family. They're so different, but having the two of them, it's been really nice to watch their relationship grow and develop too, is having someone to always play with and hang with. So that's the nice thing about having two. I know some families out where I live have like 8, 10 kids. I'm like, holy.
I cannot imagine.
Two was a great number.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to say too, it's so similarly, back to the situation with the sports games and things like that. So my parents growing up were unable to attend any except if it was like a really, really special one because they worked so hard. So that's something that I am working so hard towards, because I can't bear to think that I would have to miss anything like that moving forward. So
times have changed. You could do what you're doing, Carly, and work all over the world, which is amazing. And I forgave both my parents, and I just understood my dad did the best he did with what he knew, and his goal was to provide for the family. So he understands the way I think, and like we're good nowadays. And I forgave him, and he understood that it did hurt. So it's been good, clear communication. So I really appreciate, Adrian, having you share with us not only your business, but diving deep into some things that transpired to make you who you are today. So a couple more final questions. I know we're all busy. Where do you see yourself like 6 months to a year? What are you really focused on right now?
Right now, I'm focusing on my team. I want to put somebody in the seat that I'm in as a sales director. So I want somebody to take over my spot and just building this community of closers in my team. And then with myself and Andy and the all-in guys, doing the closers only, teaching the acquisitions, giving other people opportunities to change the dynamic of their lives, right? And let people know that, it's never too late. Andy, my business partner, he's 23. I'm here, about to be 35 in December.
Wow.
we're over 10 years apart, but we're still on the same journey, and we're still on this, and we're still on the same path, which goes to show you, like, it's never too late or too early for you to start. If you want to change, and there's nothing that can stop you. But the only thing I do suggest is that before you jump into any of this is secure that foundation, whatever it is. Because in acquisitions, in sales in general, in entrepreneurship, there's going to be a lot of obstacles. There's going to be a lot of doors shut in your face. There's going to be a lot of no's. There's going to be a lot of downs. And it's going to take a toll on you. It's going to take a toll on you physically. It's going to take a toll on you mentally. It takes a toll on your relationships. It happens. It takes a toll in every way. I mean, I'm 34 years old, and I'm full of gray hair that I just got, that I just got when I started this business. It's crazy. But I'd rather take the gray than lose it. But so, my wife has been, my rock. Anytime that I need her, she's there for me. She's constantly, the charger, the laptop was dying right now, so I screamed to her to get the laptop, and I even got it for her. She got the charger for me. So, but she's been my rock, and she's been there every time. And anytime that I need to stay late at the office, she's here with my son, and she's taking care of my son, and I can come home, and there's a meal on the table for me, or there's a meal for me, like. It's things like that you have to thank God for. And then also, just like I said, the foundation, because you can't build. In real estate, foundation is the biggest thing, the biggest issue in any build that you do. You can't start building unless you have a set foundation.
That's big. So awesome. And how do people get in contact with your event for the June 23rd? And then just if they want to get, more info about the all-in events, and I know Carlos and Sal have that book, new book. How do people reach out to you guys?
So All In Nation on IG, you can. They post everything about the All In family. Closersonly.com is the website where you can go to learn about the one-day hot seat, and then you can follow me on Instagram. Born Closer on Instagram, and that's where you'll find me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Adrian Salgado. I'm on Facebook, and I try to respond to everybody. One thing that the guys have taught me is try to respond to everybody. There's nobody too good, because watching them grow their company and grow their brand, I've watched what they've gone through. When Carlos is reaching out to Cody Sperber, and Cody's not responding to him, and Carlos just continues to reach out to him and no response, or reaching out to other, higher investors or people that are already been in the game for a long time, and then nobody responds. But now, we have these relationships. Carlos and Cody speak, quite often, right? So I don't want to be that guy that doesn't respond, and that doesn't respond. I want everybody to be treated the same. I want to help anybody and everybody that needs the help. So Instagram, I try to respond. Facebook, after the Closers Olympics, my friend requests, man, they skyrocketed. I'm still accepting friend requests from people on Facebook to try to get in contact with them. But so those are the two main platforms: Adrian Salgado on Facebook, Born Closer on Instagram. DM me. Closersonly.com, All In Nation. Those are all places you can find us. Sweet.
I'm starting to go down to the office more. I don't know if you know this, Adrian, but I got an office down with the Clever Investor in Tempe. Cody.
Okay.
So shout out to Cody. I don't know if he's watching this, but he's got his whole team down there and everything. And it's in Tempe. If you ever want to come by, or if you want to meet up for beer, coffee, I'd love to hang out and chat more with you.
Yeah, of course, man. We'll definitely try to set something up. I know Carlos has been through there, I think, a couple of times. So I'd be completely open to it.
Sweet. If you play ping pong, we got a ping pong table.
We had to get Funny story about that real quick before we leave. In our first office downtown at the Copper Point building, when we first started, we had a pool table in our office, right? And just to kind of keep the environment, keep keep the culture going, make it kind of a friendly environment. But we started seeing that more people are playing pool than actually being on the phones. So it was kind of a distraction at that point. We got rid of that, and now our only pastime is closing deals.
There you go. I love it. Love it. So, what's your son's name, Adrian?
Isaiah.
Isaiah. Cool. Nice to.
Yeah, he has an Instagram too. If you guys want to go and check him out, that kid's a riot. It's
Yes, I would love to.
Isaiah Prince. It's IZEYAH Prince, PRINCE. You can go follow him, or you go take a look at his IG story. I just posted a story the other day. He took a dive on his bike. He's going over a ramp, and he took a dive on his bike, but he's good.
You are so talented.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Adrian, have a super day, my man. And again, thanks for joining Carly and myself. And we'll definitely hook up here soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me once again, man. I appreciate it, Flip, Carly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Adrian.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Carly?
Yeah.
So did we have any questions on the...
Hey, Flip Nation, Flip Man here. Hey, awesome news, guys. I have created a new ebook on how to scale your business to 6 figures, fixing and flipping. I want you guys to check it out. It's free. Go to my Instagram at flippin_AZ and register to get your free ebook on how to scale 6 figures and fix and flip business.